All right. So in the classroom, what they've done is developed a schedule to get this screening done. And there's a logical progression. The first time teachers see this, they're overwhelmed, which makes sense. If we have time today, we're going to talk about systems change and the fact that it's normal to become overwhelmed at certain points in our careers as things are changing. So what we have to do is get the support. So for example, kindergarten teachers from large schools tend to get continued support because they have so many kids and so many assessments to do. However, teachers who are teaching 3rd, 4th, 5th through 8th grade, at this point, 18 months, there are 6 pilot sites that I'm working with now when we're 18 months into it, they no longer want support. Now that they've become familiar with the assessments, they administer the assessments that are classes on their own and score them and enter the data. The other thing we've done is, do you have folks who might be termed as paraprofessionals?
Yes.
Yeah. Schools identify highly skilled paraprofessionals who also get trained to 95% reliability, and they support in getting the screening done. And they also, later on, when we look at progress monitoring, they also support in the progress monitoring. So what happens is, over time, they're taught how to manage all this data, because you're going to have a lot of information. Which part is important, which is what I don't have to worry about. How do I present the data to moms and dads? How do I present it to my student study team? Is that who you are? Services team. I'm going to write it on the wall. How do I present it at my student services team meeting so everyone can understand it? How to use this data to make decisions. One of the comments we're getting from teachers is unbelievable. Things like, I don't know how did we do this before we're doing this? Because now I know where every one of my kids are in terms of the curriculum. Another thing that they're saying is, after doing the screening information, that they're indicating that their teaching behaviors change relative to certain students because they know they're at risk. I make more eye contact with them. I check in to see if they understand directions. All these subtle things that are going on as well, just by knowing who the kids are that I need to be concerned about. Okay. So tell me, how might this be up? So I'm a 3rd grade teacher, and what's happening is I'm going to do an assessment in the 1st month of school, 5th month of school, and the 10th month of school. Then, I know that at the end of 2nd grade, your typical student reads 90 correct words per minute. So I pop that right in there. So how is that helpful to me at this point? Now I've done my screening, so how do I use that piece of data?
You know who's above and who's below.
Yeah, there you go. It's my first blush. Who's at the standard, who's above it, who's below it. Now, I know that the end of 3rd grade, kids are reading 115 words correct per minute. So if I do this little thing, how's that helpful? Progress. That's what it's all about. Sure. So, when I do the mid-year, now we know learning isn't precisely linear. But when I do mid-year, I want my kids, I don't want them here anymore. They need to be falling up around here. Okay? What if I have a student who I'm concerned about, and I'm going to progress monitor, I'm going to scope them out here and here. This also gives me a point of reference for where, if I'm on track to getting where I need to be. And this is, I arbitrarily drew this at anyone who is 15 points below the mean, but this is hugely important south of the border. I don't know about here. Do you have angry moms and dads?
No.
See, the difference in angry moms and dads can sue schools and get money and create all sorts of consternation and anxiety and stress for schools. So one of the things in the model is that schools are now contacting parents right after screening and saying, here are the results of our initial screening. Elwood fell below where we would hope. Here's what we're going to do to kind of deal with this. And the second part of it is, would you like to work with us on this? Here's what you can do. And they're provided with materials. So now you're getting sometimes a triple whammy with some kids, depending on what's happening. Now, that's very effective in kindergarten, first, second, third grade. Kind of rolls off. 8th grade, I don't know if parents are less involved and kids want their parents less involved, but at the early grade levels, this parent contact is hugely important for the two reasons I mentioned. One is that it gets you another person working on the issue, and secondly, suppose this kid ends up being a long-term kid that you're going to be working with for a while. You've started off on a positive note with parents. It's not a surprise when the kid's in the 4th grade say, you know something, we're referring your son. You get a letter saying, your son's been referred for psychological evaluation. And this is the first thing maybe, or maybe there's been issues along the way, but that doesn't really create good relationships. So early on, we're saying, okay, we're checking things out early, and we want to work with you. And hopefully, if this youngster ends up being in the long haul, we're going to work together all the way until age 22, which is how long down south you can stay in school if you have a disability.